Hey, Kevin here, atypical cripple. So, I put out my video on the urinal, and I thought, well, I'm sitting here letting it load, I might as well tell you about some of my experiences just trying to find a place to pee. So, as you can see, I'm in a wheelchair, which means that I need a little more room. But on the other hand, not everyone that uses a wheelchair can transfer themselves from the wheelchair to the toilet. So, back in high school, I figured out, well, I can, pee far. Maybe I can work on a way that I can pee in the chair sitting down. Now, many men will tell you trying to pee standing up is hard enough. Trying to pee while sitting down, shooting over your legs, a little harder. So, in high school, I'd go out, try to purposely be outside too long. My dad's like, you haven't gone to the bathroom, Barry. You haven't gone to the bathroom since I've seen you. So, he used to make me go inside, use the urinal, come back outside, sort of thing. So I thought, what if I hung out over here by this fence? It's kind of private. I could just pee on the fence, no problem. Thank God it wasn't electrified. But, just saying the perils of peeing outside. So, wasn't electrified, but I pissed all over myself. Dad was so, pissed. Uh, so that was that. And then in high school, it used to be hard to help me urinate. One time they had asked I was in grade school. It was kind of the janitorial job. Hey, you clean up messes. Can you help prevent one? So there was one guy in, oh gosh, that guy was in grade school. We used to have interesting conversations, mainly about sharks, which are turds that couldn't go down. He'd talk about shark wrestling in the toilet. Anyway, so it's like, what's a guy in... what do you talk about while you're sitting there trying to... So, do you come here often? It's like, what do you do? It's the social dynamic of peeing. So, he used to tell me dirty jokes, limericks, things like that. So, yeah. Teacher wasn't going to do it. Principal or the nurse back then. No nurses, no urinals. So in high school, I'm like, well, you have these stand-up urinals. So I'm kind of peeing, kind of sort of upright. So I get my way up there, spread the legs as much as I could, and let her rip. That worked for a while. That worked for a long while. It was like, hey, I don't have to go home. I don't have to cart around this bottle that sometimes gets put on the back of my wheelchair when I'm not looking. Like it happened one time I went to the doctor. And I knew that if I used the urinal there, they just give me urinal. So to kind of make the point that they didn't like me coming by and using them as a urinal supply, my, what do they call those, medical assistant, she put it right on the back of my bag, and at the time I was packing a pretty heavy load of various things. Whatever. I look like a homeless person. Anyway, I was flying down at the mall. I looked in the mirror like, is that a urinal? And so, kind of like somebody looking at their butt. Did I sit in something? I was looking at behind me. Is that a urinal? Oh my God. And I went back home. Because it's awkward. So, and besides that, you put them along the sides of the wheelchair. They get holes because you hit them going through doors and stuff. Even though I have some sort of side pouch. I can't quite reach it up there. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I've tried different things to try to both blend in and be somewhat independent in urinating. And what I've learned is that as long as you do it right, and it takes a lot of training to do it right, you can get most of your urine out in the big part of the stream. And then you dribble on yourself a little bit. Hey, it's better than peeing yourself totally. And those are kind of, compromises I would make. Yes, it smelled, and yes, there were other health-related consequences, but between that and just staying at home, it was one of those things where it was like, I have limited choice architecture. Very limited choice architecture. There wasn't that far to go up before you're out of choices, and to pull one of those struts in my choice, I'm going to call it a choice architecture, where you have multiple trusses that build your life. And so I was willing to take risks. I was willing to accept I may smell like urine, but at least I'm here. Because I cannot smell like urine and not be there. There's enough people that'll look at me and go, oh yeah, he's in a wheelchair, he can't pee very well. I will accept him. Then people are like, oh, I don't want to be around him, he's supposed to pee. And that's kind of the thing, is that there was no way for me to get around these things. It was just, so anyway, I'm going to tell you kind of the survivor situation I was put into. You could totally put it into a survivor thing. Okay, you gotta survive this. So it's like a guy from work. I was working at National Marine Fisheries in Seattle off Mountain Lake. It was a super cool place to work, I'll tell you what. And what was really awesome about it was it was fun. The people were really great, even though we were politically, I couldn't talk about my religion. I couldn't talk about my politics. But I had some pretty good friends there that even though they were, actually one guy I met at the Urinal. But I'll tell you that story another time. But nonetheless, he's like, you know what, you're moving on to another department. I really liked hanging out with you. Let's go get a beer. So, we left the office. I tootled up to use University Avenue from Montlake, which is a bit of a jaunt. But I was able to cut through almost up through Red Square. There's a nice fountain you dub, and you kind of. Anyway, I'm gonna draw you a map. But needless to say, it was kind of cool to cut through the university as a way of getting to places. So I cut up through the university, got to the bar. We had our beer. We had actually. No, I think we just had one beer. And then we left. And I'm like, oh, back teeth are starting to float. I was having problems. So I tried to duck. I'm like, I need an alley or something. And there was just nothing around. So I hooked the bus to downtown where it was called the Bond. Anyway, at that time there was a place on the 5th floor of the old Bon Marché building on the glassware floor. So I'm sure there's some guy up there that's like, oh, I remember you. Oh my God, I was just waiting for you to careen through a bunch of $10,000 glass. Like crystal and vases and because I had to go to the bathroom. They also had their cafeteria up there, and so it's cafeteria, bathroom, but there's just nowhere to go. I mean, Westlake, Pacific Place, but in that, even Westlake was hard. Sometimes I'd have to go up to Seattle Center. I would use my, like half off pass, reduced fare thing for the Puget Sound to be able to, kind of move around. So I get off the bus, and then I go up the Seattle Center where they got a nice, they have nice bathrooms up there. But again, it's like, what are you supposed to do? So I went up to the floor. I threaded the needle through the glassware, and I was able to go to the bathroom, and I barely made it. I mean, that was a hard one. Oh. I'm sure they could hear my groaning from outside, so, yeah, I'm not a very, Kuth is not my middle name, but anyway, I just wanted to let you know, this new urinal system has revolutionized my life, and I thought I'd tell you in a nutshell how and why. All right. This is the to cripple. See you on the next bounce. Oh, come on. Turn off.